So today we're going to be talking about the trip that I had from Coron to El Nido, and instead of going straight from Coron to El Nido within like 11 and a half hours, which is crazy, and 277 kilometers, that's way too far. It's way too boring. We thought we'd take the scenic. We're over 3 days. We're going to be island hopping on our journey from Coron to El Nido, and so this video, vlog, review of the trip is going to be a really detailed one with all the places that we've been to, the people that we met, and of course the food that we had as well, which was off the cheese. So let's dive right into it, and I can only hope that those of you watching this video will be able to do this one day. If you haven't done so, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can stay updated with some of the most beautiful places that one could visit in their lifetime. Let's go!
Hey, on some Bonnie and Clyde, yeah, she tell me that that body is mine. Shit, I might pull up to your crib with a bottle.
All right, we're here at the Kayangan Lake, everybody. This place is absolutely surreal. There's a lot of people here, but we're gonna be getting out of the touristy areas, secluded areas on the way to El Nido. But this is our first stop, and this place is so amazing. Look at this. Hey, make sure you go like, share, and subscribe.
All these dudes want my spot, but they can all get in line. They sending DMs, oh, they so annoying. We like to read them, I kinda enjoy it. On some
We're gonna go up to a mountain in Kayangan, and there's gonna be a lake there where we're gonna be able to swim as well, which is gonna be super exciting. Got a bit of a climb coming up. Let's go. Kayangan Lake. Dayunamun Kayangan Lake.
So the first destination that we got to was Kayangan Lake, and that is a beautiful lake. You walk up a little bit of a mountain, you come down again, and you basically go to this tub of fresh water, which is turquoise blue. It's actually a bit too blue. It's very beautiful there. Now, there is a lot of tourists there. Now, the whole point of doing this trip is that we get away from the hustle and bustle and the crowded touristiness of Coron so that we can actually find some secluded paradise. So that's what we want to do. But Kayangan Lake is one of those places that's so beautiful, and that's like the picture that you have of Coron. If you Google Coron, that's basically the picture that you get, and that's where we wanted to actually get to. And because it is that beautiful and it is very close to the town proper, now depending on the tour guide that you have, there is going to be some fun and a little bit of giggles in there with other tourists, making jokes, asking them where they're from, and just making a few friends along the way, which is what going on trips is all about. And make sure you have a good tour guide who actually can set a good mood so that you can actually get around, connect with some people, and crack a few jokes along the way. So all that crowd is actually there so that they can take a photo in the spot in Kayangan Lake. Now, one of the coolest things that I love about this expedition trip is that all the food that you get is actually provided by the actual expedition team itself from the boat. It's cooked on there by this super awesome local dude. You get a cook that cooks you really authentic snacks and meals all throughout your trip. We're actually on our way to Sunset Lagoon where we're about to have lunch, but every time we stop to have some food, there's enough time for us to jump off the boat and actually swim around and actually go snorkeling and check out all the underwater sea life, which is amazing. What you see here in Sunset Lagoon is actually just raw footage. I'm not doing any color correction to it whatsoever. You are going to actually see water that blue and that clear. And make sure you actually work with a smart guide as well, because the guide is going to find the right time to actually be there so that you're not actually overlapping with other tourists, so that you can enjoy the whole lagoon or the whole bay or the beach all by yourself, which is, I think, quite special. So the next destination after the lunch at Sunset Lagoon is Malcapuya Island, which is one of the most special islands. You're going to have all these huts, and you can just walk right up to it and just sit down, order yourself a coconut, and just enjoy yourself, relax a little bit. And there is a photo spot there as well, so make sure you go and take those photos with the people that you're traveling with, because it is one of the coolest spots ever. And in the island itself, we actually weren't able to get any footage, but there are people playing basketball, like the local people living there playing basketball on a ring made out of like logs. It's very like tiki style basketball court, and everyone just on their bare feet and just playing ball, which I thought was really awesome. We had a really good time in Malcapuya Island, and on to the next destination we go.
My only man, her only fans, just my camera roll. Hey, yeah, ride or die, hey, I know she'll be ready.
And on the way over there, we actually caught a couple of fish as well, which is really cool because these fish will become our dinner, which I think is a very special thing on this expedition trip, is that the people on the boat actually go out and actually catch a few fish so that we can actually eat them fresh for dinner, which is just wonderful, and it tasted amazing. You're gonna see it very soon.
Okay, so we landed right here in Banana Island. It looks like this island, they've done something to spruce it up a little bit more for tourists to enjoy themselves. They've got volleyball courts, they've got some swings, nice place to take some good photos, and a toilet facility, which is amazing. Here we are. This is where we're gonna be base camping for the first night. I'm not sure what to expect for the accommodation, but you know what? To be honest, I don't mind. Just the stars as my blanket, just going to sleep just like that. So it's gonna be really fun. There's many huts and many chairs and just vibe locations where you can just chill out with your mates and just hang out. What a beautiful place to be right now. I'm really happy to be here. Let's go.
My eyes on the holy. I done seen some things so mean. Been through hard times, then not for me. I could show you how to get to the green. My life on top, can't control.
So the first night we actually stayed in Banana Island. So this island has a little bit more amenities, like a place for you to sleep. Of course, it's not 5-star, but it is enough to get by. And our team actually landed on there in time so that we actually could find a good spot on the island. There's lots of places to take good photos and go dip in the water, walk around the island for a bit of an adventure. So when you do land on Banana Island, this is a time for you to get your drinks out. This is where you're gonna have dinner. Usually most days we actually finish our activities at around 4 p.m. because the sun sets super early as well. So you have plenty of time until the sun fully sets and just everyone just chills out. But on that night, you're gonna have a pretty warm sleep. It's very warm. But the thing is, by the time you wake up, you're gonna actually wake up a little bit cold even. That's just how these tropical islands work. But if it is a bit too hot for you, there are these hammocks out there. So make sure you go check out those hammocks, have a lie down. It's actually a lot more comfortable than you think it is, and it is a lot cooler outside at night too. It should be able to get you recharged. And if it is a bit too hot for you, why don't you just go dip in the water anyway? And you might have to do that a few times throughout the night, but hey, it's better than nothing. So day 2, you're gonna actually wake up quite early. Most days we start around about 8 a.m. That's because the sun sets super early, so you wanna get started on your day as soon as possible. We're actually on our way to a different island to actually enjoy breakfast. And of course, I look forward to every meal. And the good thing about these expedition trips is that if you're otherwise just a tourist in some busy town, you're basically eating 3 meals a day. You're bloated all the time. Whereas this trip, if you do the expedition, you actually work for your food because you're swimming around all the time, you know, waking up early, you're running around everywhere, you're walking here and there. And so you actually feel hungry before you eat. So I can almost think back to every meal that I had on this trip, and it has always been sensational because I was very, very hungry when I had them, which I think is one of the most charming points of going on this expedition trip. Okay, so this is one of the yummiest snacks I had. This is pancakes with a little bit of custard, and you eat it with bananas. For breakfast, it is an absolute treat. Okay, so next stop is Araw Beach. We got there and it is actually a pretty fast current. So if you're a weak swimmer, I don't recommend you jumping in and looking at the fish and all that, although you can jump in just to dock onto the island. All of us got to the island. We found a bunch of local kids that were hanging out, so we joined them to build some sandcastles and play a bit of a game, which was super fun. That's the thing about Filipino people, is that they're really approachable, they're nice people, they get up all in your business, and it's always a good time to hang out with them. And we got to have a bit of a downtime before we got to the next destination. The next destination is certainly a destination and a half. It is cliff diving. If you're doing the expedition trip from Coron to El Nido, this is one of the hottest destinations you can actually visit, have lots and lots of fun. If you're not a daredevil, it's okay, because you basically walk up and you can jump at different spots as well. So you can go higher and higher and higher depending on how much of a daredevil you are. But I wouldn't even call yourself a daredevil if you were able to jump from the top, because it's actually not that tall. It's about 8 meters high, and you just jump off of there, and it's one of the most beautiful places you can go cliff diving. You can actually swim up to the caves that you're seeing right now as well, and you're gonna see one of the most amazing things, and it's a real vibe if you actually get in there, if you're able to swim up to it as well. Make sure you get out of your comfort zone so you can actually have that extra little bit of fun during this trip as well. So when you're there, just stop thinking, look ahead into the horizon, and take the plunge. The next stop is at Linapacan tourist camp, so we're basically on the other side of Linapacan. And on this island, the sleeping arrangement, dare I say, is a little bit more comfortable than the sleeping arrangement of Banana Island. And there you'll be able to sleep in these huts where the flooring is made out of all these bamboo sticks, and that actually gives a little bit more breathability, so you're gonna have a much cooler sleep than in there. So I don't think an air conditioning is necessary, you know, when you're sleeping on these islands, and it's actually very comfortable. So I actually enjoyed my sleep there a lot more. At Linapacan tourist camp, do take the time to go around, have a walk around the island for a bit of an adventure. You're gonna see some interesting things here and there. You can see the effects of typhoon that's hit this place and many other locations that you'll visit in Philippines as well. But that's part of the experience too, and that's part of the learning experience, that these people, despite the typhoon, have actually built the place up so that we can actually enjoy the place. So there is something about appreciating what the locals are doing for the tourists to be able to accommodate us and ensure that we're actually having a great time. The food that we had that night was the 2 fish that we caught, we grilled up. up. And we had this squid dish which was doused in squid ink, and that was delicious as well. And of course there is this fish dish which is actually raw, but then you put all this lemon and zestiness, citrusy liquid I guess all over it, and the acid from the citrus actually cooks the fish as well. One of the most freshest food I've ever had, and it's very zesty and a little bit spicy as well, which I particularly enjoyed as well. And in the evening you can actually meet other tourists that are using the same facilities as well, and there is when you can just hang out, have a drink, chill out, and get yourself charged up for the next day. So the first destination that we hit on day 3 was in Bulawit. Bulawit was an interesting town. Almost every day the expedition trip offers something different. First day is about going somewhere really beautiful with other tourists. Second day is also going somewhere really beautiful but with less tourists and more focus on wildlife. And day 3 is more about experiencing the locals. So at Bulawit we actually got to meet some of the locals. We hung out with the local kids and the people there to play some basketball. We went to the local watering hole to actually have a bit of a refreshing freshwater shower as well, which was fun. We got to be as intimate as seeing people raising livestock, growing vegetables, and making boats and doing their washing at the watering hole. It's actually a fantastic way to finish off your experience on this 3-day expedition trip. Now, one of the most special things that I got to do was a dream come true for me, which was to pick my own coconut, chop it up, and basically drink it. And the taste of that coconut I can never forget for the rest of my entire life, even though I had many coconuts in my very short life that I've had. But it is a wonderful town. People are super welcoming. We got to meet Oscar, who's running for local council leadership, I guess, and he was a super nice guy. Apparently he's also the richest guy on the island as well. He's the man responsible for looking after the welfare of the island too, and people seem to be quite happy with him as well. So a very interesting way of living and a very wonderful people that I have met along the way. And of course we had our final meal and we actually docked at Manligad Island, which was a beautiful spot. We had the most bluest waters ever, had a big dive, had lots and lots of fun. We actually got to see some batfish and the footage I lost because I lost my GoPro once again. And of course there we chilled until the boat came and picked us up to take us into the El Nido port. That's right, so the boat that we took from Coron to El Nido cannot actually enter into El Nido, so another boat has to come from El Nido to actually accept us into the ports of El Nido. We got to San Fernando Roro port, and from there we took about a 40-minute van ride into the El Nido town proper. So that basically wraps up the trip that we had. It is absolutely unforgettable. Apparently there is a version where you can do this expedition trip, but you're doing it as a scuba diver. So they go to all these scuba diving spots so that we can actually dive deep and see all the wild, like super wild and rich wildlife underwater. If you're into scuba diving, this is something that I definitely recommend, and that's something that I'm actually looking forward to doing in February as well. So I'll definitely be keeping you guys updated with the experience that I'll have when I'm back there again in February. So if you haven't done so, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and stay updated with all my travels and the wonderful places I visit on Earth. I'll see you next time.